What's up? Welcome back to another market recap. It is August 19th, 2025. So I had no trades last night. The main trade I was looking for was this pound CAD. And it did give a pullback that I was looking for, but it gave the pullback pretty late. It was around, by the time it triggered an alert for me, is about 3 a.m. or so my time. I got up, I kind of checked this trade, I looked at it. I really just wasn't feeling it anymore, given the fact that the IBO kind of really already occurred earlier in the day, right before market rollover. I mean, around 10 o'clock or so my time. So the true IBO I was looking for, it already happened. And the 4 hour at that point, it's really just started to look like this pullback and a retracement. I would have really preferred to take this trade off of the S1 area. That's what I was looking for most, but it kind of just pulled back. So no trade on pound CAD. And if I did end up taking a trade on pound CAD, it would have failed. I mean, the potential entry was like 6 or so o'clock in the morning, like right before New York. It started to break down there. You could justify that entry possibly. Then it just kind of bounced in reverse. So it would have been a full loss if taken. Pound Singapore really never gave an entry one way or the other until maybe late, very late in the day, about 2 hours before market rollover. Pound dollar did give an entry, but it gave an entry after it had already pretty much pushed from the target area. I don't like to take trades if the price just follows through, hits my target, and then pulls back for an entry. It pretty much turns into a no trade situation for me. What I am interested in trading is possibly like the bounce off of the target zone. If the 4 hour 50, 1 hour 200, S1, maybe a horizontal support level or something, all kind of line up in that target area, then sometimes I'll look to play off of that. But this kind of really just tapped it and went, didn't really present an entry from a micro time frame standpoint, from a 2 minute really, or even on a 30-second. So since it already tapped my target zone, by the time it did pull back, it was a no trade, even though it did play out. Pound Swiss never really pulled back, right? You had this kind of spike in volume at market rollover, which doesn't mean anything. It's just high spreads. But it did potentially give an entry. It was just a little tighter than I would prefer. You pretty much had to stop clip, which I really don't like to stop clip. At a bare minimum, I try, like, if my entry, what I'm looking for, let me blow up this 2 minute, try and explain this. What I'm looking for is not necessarily to stop clip, but to be able to have a stop that if by the time I do stop clip, so when I can execute P1 of my management, when price breaks the 10-minute EMA, I can clip the low, which is essentially that should remove about half my risk from the position. So that's at the point when I look to go stop clip. So when it comes to a position size, for me to position size something like this, I'm basically already at a stop clip from the beginning. So I'll never be able to execute P1. So I'm still going to have full risk on the table until price is fully broken out on a 10-minute and given a trend change and retested the EMA and has a follow through. At that point, I can start to pull risk, but it's even less risk. Like usually I can go from, if I position size it properly, I can go P1, remove half risk. And then when I get the follow through that I'm looking for and the trend change on the 10-minute, I can then go P2 and clip the low on the 10-minute, which usually brings the position to break even, if not locks in like 0.2, 0.3, something like that. But if I'm entering from a stop clip, then P1 I can't do. And then P2 is likely only going to remove about half risk from the position. So it just doesn't really fit with the management style. So when it comes to taking these plays, I'm looking to at least be able to take it to where I can go P1 and remove half so over my risk. And that position size wasn't really available. If I was okay with a little bit of a stop clip, then I think there's a valid trade right here, right? A valid trade off of this S1 4-hour 50 area. Never really pulled back. It just kind of followed through, hit this zone, and later in the day presented like a 2-minute, 30-second type of entry. Could have taken it there, and then this likely would have been closed before market rollover for 1 hour or so. Yeah. So of these pound pairs, the only one that was a potential was this pound Swiss for me. But I chose not to take it because of the position size. Aussie CAD, similar to pound dollar, it kind of pushed down, touched the target zone, and then pulled back and followed through. So because it already hit my target zone, no trade for me. Euro CAD really was nothing. It bounced off the trend line that we were kind of concerned about. Dollar Singapore, again, similar to pound CAD. It had a brief pullback here already, and then a follow through, and then it had a deep pullback, and then another follow through. So at this point, since price really already pulled back, already pushed the target, it didn't pull back enough, right? It needed to pull back just a little bit further here, kind of just tapped the entry area and then pushed the target. So since this has already hit target, it became a no trade. Similar thing here for, there's a spike here, so similar thing for dollar yen, but we weren't too interested in taking that trade. Euro Mexican never really gave an entry. I mean, it kind of held this trend pretty well and then just exploded, right? So this trade didn't really work out. I mean, if you took it super late, but by this point, you do kind of have a double top. You could, but it's not the pattern I'm used to trading, or I'm interested in trading, really. I don't really want to trade the breakdown. I want it to have already broken down, and I'm playing the retest, essentially, in the continuation. Then pound Mexican, similar stuff. So really the only potential trade was this pound Swiss, but I would have to be okay with a little bit of a stop clip. But cool. Either way, that's my recap, and I'm going to go make my watch list, and I'll be right back. What's up? And we're back. So I have two main groups on watch for this evening. One's a yen group, and the other one's a NOK group. A NOK group is all an exotic group, so I'm not sure what the spreads are going to look like on this. Like this CAD NOK right now, you can see the spreads here on my 2-minute chart are pretty ginormous. So this isn't tradable. It's a little bit better on a dollar NOK situation, but also like NOK yen or Swiss NOK. The spreads just don't make sense right now. Granted, we're still in the first hour of the day, so spreads will tighten. So I'll be watching these to see kind of how they develop. But we'll start with this yen group. The two primaries I have of this group are Euro and Swiss yen. They're not perfect, though, and they all kind of have similar issues. That being the 4-hour charts kind of have this, low test candle on the 4-hour 50, and it's like that on most of these yens, right? Especially here on this pound yen, which is a little unsettling. And daily chart wise, I think Euro yen probably has the nicest daily, but it's not really a super great level here. It's just been recently kind of respected roughly about, 4 touches or so. But we've obviously pushed higher in the past. Like if it was reacting roughly off this level, I feel a lot better about this. So there's still room to move on a daily time frame back to the previous highs, basically. So this could be kind of a false break, potentially. So 4 hours, not great. Daily's kind of meh. The 1 hour chart, though, is okay. You have a clear break of a trend. You have this kind of horizontal level here too. Is coming back for a retest roughly in that area at 0.32. The pivot had the EMAs there. So there's a lot of crap in the way of price moving back up. So, path of least resistance, pulls back to 0.382, and potentially a follow through. So CBO is what I'm looking at here, a wave 3 CBO. So my spread's a little obviously too big on this because we're in the first hour. Let's see how things develop here next hour or two on this pair. Swiss yen, similar kind of price action. All these are roughly, again, about the same. The 4 hours aren't great. 1 hour is okay. 10 minutes also look pretty decent. Kind of a clear break on a 10-minute. Pullback will put this in a kind of a ACB kind of vibe. But it would be, there's your wave 1, there's your wave 2, there's wave 3, wave 4, playing wave 5 on a 10-minute, wave 3 on a 1 hour, wave 5 on a 10-minute. So those two time frames align for a continuation. For both this Swiss and Euro Yen are the same way. For pretty much all these yens, it's about the same. Yeah. I'll still be looking at this Singapore as well as the pound yen, but the daily, like this daily on the Swiss, for instance, it's just sideways price action. There's really nothing there. So I don't know. I feel like these have an edge short wise. And out of all the options today, there's some of the better setups, but they're just not perfect, right? There's dailies ain't great. 4 hours, not great. But 1 hour and 10-minute on all of them are nice. So basically yen bull bias on all these pairs. And then the knock pairs is a knock weakness kind of bias that I have. And I like this CAD knock the most, except for the daily time frame. Sitting right here at the daily 50, I'd prefer like a break higher, kind of like this, how we have here on this dollar knock position. So there's that. The 1 hour is nice, break a trend, break of the EMAs in the 1 hour, nice clear wave 1, wave 2 pullback, play wave 3, a wave 3 CBO. So that looks good. 10-minute time frame, clear kind of push upwards, coming back for a retest of the previous high. If we get a pullback, be an ACB, so an ACB, CBO. In a perfect world, this would be an IBO, but it's not. 4 hours, kind of meh, all right, but you do have a good candlestick pushing, breaking this trend on the 1 hour, but it's just kind of sitting at the EMAs. So that's the two negatives with this, is kind of this 4 hour sitting at the EMAs, as well as the daily sitting right there at the daily 50. But 1 hour, 10-minute looks okay. Dollar knock has a better breakout. The problem is the pullback on this. This would need a rather deep pullback beyond 0.382, probably for an entry. It'll all depend on how long this takes to pull back. If this pulls back within a couple hours of the day, the EMAs aren't likely to line up. But if it takes half the day to pull back, then the EMAs will have time to kind of catch up and probably will line up at 0.382. So if you get a deeper pullback based off the current EMAs, it would be a really nice kind of ACB on your 10-minute and a CBO on the 1 hour. So I have a position size right now for a 2-to-1 to the highs, as a typical ACB would be positioned. Could potentially do a 2-to-1 and then stretch this even further for like a 4-to-1, a little bit past R1. I mean, you could throw in a fib extension in here. Theoretically, if price pulls back to there, you'd be pulling past 0.618. You say you're be before 1. Preferably, usually my target is 0.618 on a fib extension, which usually lines up with S1R1. So either way. So this pair is interesting. NOK Yen has probably the better daily out of all of these. I like the, bearish engulfing candle we have. You have a clear break on your 1 hour, 4 hour, though it's sitting kind of at this level that you can really see on the 4 hour pretty well of previous lows, as well as you have this extreme low down here that lines up with S1. So again, similar to dollar NOK, this needs a pretty large pullback. So will we see that? I don't know. But also it could just continue down to these lows here for a potential playing, a really exaggerated wave 1 break and then play a wave 2 back up. That's really why I had this one flagged. I have a position size for if it pulled back. We'll see. I almost think the better trade out of this would probably be if it continues down to this level, and if you got some really nice deceleration and a trend reversal on your micro time frames to take it long. Swiss NOK, my pivots haven't really swapped over yet for this pair, but kind of similar to all these other NOKs, but it's a secondary. And then Aussie Yen and Euro Aussie, these two Aussie pairs, I kind of flagged similarly to why I have NOK Yen flagged. And that is there's this, kind of extreme low based off your 1 hour and your 4 hour that I'm watching to see how price kind of reacts to those areas, right? And then I have other stuff on development watch, but probably the most interesting is still this dollar huff. I mean, we've been watching it now for it's like a week or two. I'm still sitting at this interesting daily level, clear kind of horizontal support there on your daily time frame. It's now tapped at 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's been respected 4 times in the past week, as well as respected there. Nearly respected there. So again, like picture perfect world, this continues and pushes up past here, and then we get a retracement and we can take this trade like this. And that would be a picture perfect CBO at that point. If we get a complete break coming back for a retest, at that point you'd have a CBO in your 1 hour, an IBO in your 4 hour, and likely an ACP in your 10 minute. Everything in alignment. It would be a really nice trade. So still just keep my eye on this pair. So that's about it. See how these yens develop, see how these spreads on NOK develop. Again, these are all exotic pairs. I typically don't trade exotics, but I'm starting to pay more and more attention to them. So we'll see how it all develops tonight. Cool. Either way, that's my watch list, and catch you guys tomorrow. See you.